And you know the reason
guess what?
so many people get killed by guns in America? Because idiots like you, and I use that word very deliberately, think it's funny to laugh in the middle of me reading out a statement from the victims' families at Sandy Hook.
Piers Morgan is never one to shy away from a heated conversation. For nearly 2 decades, he's made a name for himself, first in Britain and now in the U.S. He's the host of Piers Morgan Live on CNN.
He's also the author of a new book. It is called Shooting Straight, Guns, Gays, God, and George Clooney. It is published by an imprint of Simon & Schuster, a division of CBS. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, what's the George Clooney part? I get guns, I get gays, I get God.
Funny enough, I saw him last week at a thing for his movie Gravity, and he said, I'm in your book title, so how many of those things apply to me? I went, George, that's between you and your Lord. He's in there because he's just great fun. You've had George Clooney on. I wanted to have a celebrity who I thought encompassed what real stars should be. You know, chivalrous, charming, very talented, and has a very serious side with all the stuff he does in the Sudan. So that's why he made the title.
Right there with God.
With God?
Yeah. You've called Congress gutless because they refuse to take action on guns. You got some pushback from people who said, get that guy out of America. He's not an American.
Well, there was a petition in America to have me deported, but there was also on the back of that a petition in Britain for me to stay here. So I was trapped in no man's land. Once I was thinking of being parachuted into Jamaica or somewhere. So here's the thing about guns. I had a guy on last night, Alan Gottlieb, from the Second Amendment Foundation. He wanted to have a campaign to turn the first anniversary of Sandy Hook into Gun Saves Lives Day. A more repulsive way of commemorating that day would be hard to imagine. So I had him on last night. I was reading a statement from the daughter of the principal of that school who was killed. Her outrage at this idea of this campaign. He began to laugh in the middle of me reading the statement. And it showed to me the utter crassness of some of these pro-gun rights people in just failing to understand the decimation that guns can cause to so many lives.
What is it about American guns in your judgment?
It's a fascinating thing, Charlie, because in Britain in the mid-90s, we had an outrage in Dunblane in Scotland. 16 young children, same age as Sandy Hook, were all murdered by a gunman. And everyone came together, politicians on the left and right, it was never partisan, the media collectively, the Daily Mirror, which I was editor-in-chief, campaigned very strongly on this. The public were united, and as a result, all assault weapons were banned, all handguns were banned. Now, 2 things have happened since. The average murder rate from guns in Britain is 35 people a year. That is the number of Americans that get killed every day from guns. But it's worse than that. In America, another 50 will die today from suicide from guns because of the ready availability of guns in homes. Add to that, 100,000 Americans a year get hit by gunfire. Now, you know, you can look at places like Britain or Germany or Australia. Wherever you bring in tough, sensible gun safety control measures, you have less death. And that's all I'm about. I just want fewer Americans to be killed by guns.
But you were talking about banning guns. I mean, we have the Second Amendment here in America, and there are more than 100 million gun owners in this country. It is a right that many Americans enjoy and use safely.
I have no problem in a country with so many guns in circulation with a family exercising their First Amendment right to defend their families with a handgun at home. But nobody can tell me that any civilian in America needs a military-style assault weapon or a magazine which has 30 to 100 bullets, as we saw at Aurora or at Sandy Hook. And the idea that you can't even in Congress pass background checks, that you can't even get through a law that 90% of the American people support, which would mean that you could determine if somebody buying a gun was a criminal or mentally insane. This is the stuff of madness.
You're pretty much where, how are you different from where Mayor Bloomberg is and where President Obama is?
Well, Mayor Bloomberg to me is the single most courageous politician in America. The cowardice as...
and President Obama?
President Obama, I think, has done his best, but he's achieved nothing. You know, he went to Sandy Hook very publicly and he promised those families he would get action. To date, he has delivered absolutely nothing. Bill Clinton, who I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, told me an interesting thing. He said, look, the NRA marshals itself so well that they go after any politician in America, any stage, any level, and they drive them out of power with their well-funded resources which come from the gun manufacturers. He said, until the American people, many of whom express outrage at these atrocities, until they go to the ballot box and vote with their feet and say, right, we are going to vote against people that support no assault weapons ban. Nothing will change. And he's right.
Let me ask you about CNN. You've been there. It's going to be almost 3 years. Will you stay?
Well, Larry King did 25 years. My God, I've got admiration for that man. I mean, he's the only man with more longevity or stamina is the great Charlie Rose. I will be taken out of CNN kicking and screaming. I absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic network. It's a great news place to be. I wrote the book because not just about guns, but it's a diaries of my 3 years there. The good, the bad, the ugly, the entertaining, the tragic. And it's been a wonderful ride, and long may it continue.
Go ahead.
I think we've got to go. We're out of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they're telling me.
I've got all morning. I mean,
Yeah, all right.
Thanks, Piers.
Great
Lovely
to
see you both. Thank you very much.
And Shooting Straight goes on sale today.